Meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. Let me start off by saying Happy Valentine's Day to fellow directors and everybody else in the audience. And let the record show that we have directors Gary Monk, Gay Jones, and Jack Scheidegger present for the meeting. We'll start off with public opportunity to discuss any matters of public interest within the community scope, including items on or not on the agenda. Do we have any?
We have no speakers.
Okie dokie. Well, moving along, we'll go to the next and most important item here. Elect a chairman and a vice chair. Directors?
Mr. Chair, I would like to nominate Jack Scheidegger to step in and carry on the duties of chair for the Finance Committee.
Director Scheidegger, do you agree to carry on?
Humbly and honored, yes.
Okay, we'll have I'll second that since I'm the only one that can.
Roll call.
All of us could, but.
Roll call. Director Jones?
Aye.
Monk?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Can you vote for yourself?
I did.
Yes. Given the size of committee, all that stuff is fine.
Thank you.
Next one will be selecting a vice chair for the committee.
Boom.
And I'd like to step out on a limb, and I'd like to suggest that Director Jones fill that position. She's been not only chairman, but in many other committees involved. She would make a very good vice chair.
I strongly second that.
Strongly. Okay, we have a...
Director Monk?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
And at this time, since we have a new chairman and a new vice chairman, I think I'm going to turn the reins over to the new chairman.
Well, thank you, Director Monk, and thank you very much for your fine service this past year. I very much appreciate this opportunity. In particular, I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to the opportunity to continue working with our fine staff and the great work they're doing. And I hope we can continue the great efforts we've made. I look forward to working with you two also, Gay and Gary. Okay, consent agenda. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I move approval. Consent.
I'll second.
Call for the question, Madam Secretary.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Monk?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, we'll ask Ms. McFarland to come up and give us a, oh, no?
Yes,
Oh,
no, maybe?
Yeah, maybe?
Please.
Be up here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you both.
Good afternoon, directors. My name is Ron Empedrad, controller for the district, and I'll be presenting the Finance Committee report. So I'll just go ahead and jump in. This slide shows the cash balances that the district have with the Sacramento County. As you can see, because of the dry period funding, all our cash balances with the county is negative right now. But the purple line, which represents the 2012-13 cash balances, is tracking very closely with what we have in fiscal year 11-12. And I might add that in January, or last January, we received our first allotment of our property taxes. So you will see a bump of that line come next reporting. And also I'd like to add that this graph does not include the 1.9 million we have currently with CalPERS Trust to fund our OPEB, and I'm happy to report that right now we're earning around 5% return as of December 31, 2012 on our fund balances with CERBT. This next slide shows the reserves that we have for the district. Again, it closely monitors what we have in the previous slide for cash balances, in that since we're right now at the dry period funding phase, we are showing a negative reserves, but we project that as of June 30, 2013, our reserve balances would hit 11.8 million, which is around 8% ratio. Again, this is only based on our final numbers. Once the mid-year budget is adopted, the reserves will dip down a little bit. You'll see from 8% reserve ratio will go down to around 7.6% ratio, and this is mainly because of the a little bit more expenditures we have on our mid-year budget. These slides will show kind of a highlight of all the revenues that we have on with the district. Currently, our medic cost recovery revenues are tracking pretty well with our budget. We have year-to-date $11.7 million, which is up $2 million from last year, and this $11.7 million represents roughly 50% of our budget, so we're right on track. On the other hand, Community Risk Reduction Division, we have right now year-to-date revenue of $917,000, which is up by around $300,000+ from last year. However, it only represents 19.1% of our annual budget. What this means is that CRRD will have to make up around $4 million of revenues in the latter half of our of the year, and based on Chief Iverson's presentation, I guess several meetings ago, CRRD is coordinating the annual inspections currently, and they project that they'll be able to bring bulk of the $4 million in the next in the latter half of the year. So we are anticipating to achieve the budget that we have for the CRRD. Total revenue so far, we're at $16.3 million, which is slightly higher than what we have in the prior year, and this represents 11.6% increase, and I believe this is mainly due to the medic cost recovery increases that we have. For the general operating fund expenditures, we're pretty much well within our budget. Total labor costs is around $61.7 million, which is net of the $5 million concessions that we have, and the services and supplies cost is around $6.8 million, which is again well within our budget. And I might add that again, with the adoption of the mid-year budget, we'll probably show this different percentage, different ratios in this slide. This graph shows the capital facilities fund and shows the development fees we've collected in the past 6 months. And again, we're tracking very well with our budget. Right now, we have $576,000 in development fees, which is around 55.4% of budgeted development fees. And I might add that this is based on a conservative estimate of development fees that we had. And we did a conservative estimate just because it's hard to project what the development fees will be, which is again based on all the developments happening around the district. And currently, the Capital Facilities Fund, we used $1.2 million in reserves to cover the debt service expenditures that we have, and this is again well within our budget. And finally, for our grant activity, as of December 31, 2012, we currently have spent $3.8 million of grant funds, leaving an unspent balance of $13.6 million. Of this $13.6 million, $6.1 million represent unspent grant money, which represents the new funding that we've received for safer avionics and wellness and fitness programs. I believe we have one more grant ongoing, but we'll keep you up to date once we know, once the process proceeds with that grant. That's it. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Yes. 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 Just on. It's page 43 and 44 of your Finance Committee information. And this is the first time that I've presented this report to you. Richardson and Company recommended that we provide the board a quarterly report on our investment holdings. And so this is the first one that we've done. We intend in the future probably just to put it on the consent calendar unless there's someone that wants to pull it and discuss it. With so many other initiatives going on at the district, it's not been an area where I've put a lot of concentration of my time on. I will tell you that I've been kicking around an idea, and I'm doing some research and background on it as far as our pension bonds go. There could be a possibility to put together something called a tender offer, where we take the money that we have sitting at Deutsche that we're not earning very much money on, and that's one of the reasons I've kept it fairly liquid, and go out and reach out to the bondholders and ask them if they would like to sell them back to us. We would work with a financial advisor to determine what the market value of those securities are. And I had a chance to look up the QSIP number and find out that none of our bonds have had any transactions in the last 2 years. It could mean that there's not a market, that people that want to sell aren't able to sell, or it could mean they're just awfully happy with the high interest rate they're getting in the neighborhood of 5%. So we would concentrate on our Series C, which is our first series that goes to auction rate, and that's what we've been collecting this money for. So it would be the ones that are going to auction in 2018. And the amount of money we have sitting at Deutsche represents about 46% of the value of those securities. And I'm only mentioning this as just kind of an entree, because as I proceed on this, and I'm still doing a lot of my research on it, I will go through an RFP process, choose a financial advisor to assist us, and they will come in and explain more of the details. If it indeed that looks like what we want to recommend to the board, we would, evaluate how much savings that we could reap from the transaction. And I think the timing right now is pretty good. I think the closer we get to 2018, people will be less likely to want to sell because it's almost maturing. Right now we have about 5 years between now and then, and a lot of people's circumstances have changed during this recession, and there could be some people that would choose to liquidate, and we would be able to save that arbitrage on the interest. So just a little high finance stuff that's been going on in my head, and I'm finally getting an opportunity to push that forward a little bit. I did meet with one financial advisor, that actually the one that helped us with the lease revenue bonds, Southwest, and they have done similar things for other jurisdictions. In those other jurisdictions cases, they didn't have a fund that had been set aside, so they went out and borrowed money to make the tender offer. So we're way ahead of the game having this money there available, and it's well within the purposes of what was set up by the district to retire those bonds. It just may come earlier and maybe add a savings to us overall. So more to follow on that. I would say probably within the next couple of finance meetings.
Are the bonds callable?
They are not. In fact, when I first started with the district, I reviewed the bonds to see what the possibility of refunding the bonds are, because of the good interest rates right now for municipalities, government sector to go out. And the terms of the bonds are onerous. It indicates that if they're retired early, that the district is responsible for paying the bondholders the interest they would have earned through maturity. So there's no incentive to the district to do that. And so there may have been a reason that that provision was put in there. Maybe we got a better interest rate at the time because of it. I don't know. But right now it ties our hands.
But that's why you're going to look into whether or not
so
it
there would have to be a voluntary process.
Right,
so so anyway, just looking at the report on page 44, the first line item on there is that Deutsche money. We also have reserve funds, or I'm sorry, we have money sitting at U.S. Bank, which represents our unspent debt proceeds, and also a little bit of the unspent debt proceeds are actually at the state with the local agency investment fund. So that's the managed accounts. They're under the management of both U.S. Bank and Deutsche Bank. And then in addition, we have several accounts, one being the Bank of Roseville. That money is associated with the Community Risk Reduction Program. When they brought in Fire Recovery USA, they had a system already in place that was running through Roseville Bank, so it kind of came as a package deal. And the board did approve that in the past for us to have that. We have also started the County of Sacramento banks with Wells Fargo. We have now have a few accounts there on our own so that we can have a little more automation than what we've been, that's been facilitated to us from the county. We just in the last month put in place desktop remote deposits. So we are able to cancel our, what do they call it? Guard truck. And so right from the desk, checks are remitted electronically to the bank. So that's kind of step one, and we're hoping the next step will be to put in place ACH or automatic clearinghouse transactions so that when we go out to bill our retirees for their vision and their dental, that we can just have an agreement to take the money out of their bank account, eliminate them having to send a check in, say they're traveling the world or something. They don't have to have that burden of writing us a check. And so that's something that we'll be pursuing. That's something we'll be pursuing as we push this forward. And then the Umpqua bank account is actually under the custody of York. And so they use that as their short-term funds for making the payments to the recipients of our self-insured workers' comp benefits. And then you can see the pooled investments is our account at the County of Sacramento, so that's in a negative position. And as was discussed in the earlier report, we'll be able to get that in the positive after we've recognized all the property tax money. So we have provided you every month with your monthly financial report information on our cash balances and our reserve balances, but this has a little bit more information as what is suggested in the government code as the reporting that boards should be receiving. So we'll make sure that you get that every quarter.
Questions? Directors?
Nope, good job.
Report, thank you very much.
Technology is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Interest rates are terrific, aren't they? Okay, I think next on the agenda is the legal bills. Could I, are there any questions, directors?
Chair, I move ratification.
Thank you.
Second.
Madam Secretary, moved and seconded.
Director Monk,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Scheidegger.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, I think what remains is, are there any agenda items that we're aware of for the next meeting? Next meeting, I think, is going to occur on February 28th. No, wrong. March 14th. March 14th. So there being no further business for the Finance Committee at this point, we'll adjourn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.